Well, good morning, everybody. 28th of March, 2025. It is, well, a minute or two right before 7:30 in the morning here in Minsk, Belarus. Belarus. Yeah. And, yeah, a lot of, things are kind of exciting, even though there's some of the bad news about the bombings, U.S. is really, really, really bombing the crap out of Yemen like last night. And I'll get into that a little bit more, but let's start talking about some of the other news that's going on, and I'll lead into that about Yemen. Okay, Putin yesterday, he said something that got me thinking, and it looks like you have to start wondering where some of these leaders are at least looking like they're trying to take their countries. And it's very shocking when you look at these people from the European Union and compare them to Putin or even to Trump. Now Biden, like Trump says, and it seems to look like it, he was like asleep at the switch. What the heck he was doing, I don't think anybody really knows. Maybe he doesn't even know. And you actually had somebody like Tony Blinken is the guy that was probably running the show, like a lot of people suspect. And well, look at this. It's in the morning, like I said early, and you see some garbage, and of course right near the garbage can, you can hear the crows. I don't know if see them flying around up there. Taking out the garbage. People walking their dogs here. See, here's a nice looking husky. Yes, okay. But anyway, looking at these countries and then seeing, how flexible Putin is and how inflexible, for example, Zelensky is. And I've been talking about some of these things that he's been saying lately. Like yesterday, he said that Putin's going to die soon. And he said a lot of things about Russians. Like he says that, like I said, somebody else asked him, a reporter asked him, well, what keeps you going? What keeps you going? And he said, number one is his hate for Russians. Zelensky, to a major part, is probably half Russian himself. And a lot of these Ukrainians seem to, not want to notice. Pay no attention to that man behind the curtain, Oh, we don't see that. We don't say that. Don't look over there. Look over here. Look over here. I don't know. I talked about already before about some guy that was a Ukrainian, a Azov guy or whatever the deal. He goes to some lab and he wants to have his blood checked out to see that he's pure-blooded Ukrainian, the master race, as he and his forefathers, in Nazi Germany have, like to espouse that they are pure blood, that their blood is so important and that they're masters and they're superior to the rest of the world, and it's like God's chosen people and things like that. But anyway, and Zelensky says that Russians are not human beings, like I've already mentioned. I'll mention it again, probably even today. But they're a species. They're a species. And yeah, it's this ideology. It's absolutely, absolutely incredible. Now, how would you think, I don't know. It's just incredible. And you're looking at these leaders, like I was saying, where do these leaders want to lead their countries? And it's like Obama was even saying that Americans, but you can't go based on blood. Americans take pride in the fact that they're probably a mixture of a lot of different people. And so he says that they're the exceptional people. And, to a certain extent, for a certain amount of time, there was something unique about the United States, and it was because, they were the first real government, drafted under what we call the Constitution. And since that time, a lot of governments have followed that. But it's not like the first place with religious freedom or anything like that. They took a lot of these things from other places. Like, what was it in the year 1630? Around 1630, there was Prussia, the German state of Prussia at that time. They established religious freedom. So, I mean, as a matter of fact, the same guy that declared that also started something where he was sending mail, on horseback, on fast horseback, and it was done with relays, to one to the other. And then the Americans come out and say, we invented the Pony Express. Oh, look at how brilliant we are. But of course that happened 200 years before, if they were doing it in the States. And it's like, what did Jesus say? There's nothing new under the sun. So, people coming and bragging and saying, we're the first and we did this. It's really rarely ever the case. But let me get back to my point here. Yeah. But anyway, everybody wants you to think that Putin is some evil guy. And of course, he could destroy Kiev within a couple minutes if he actually wanted to. But he's bloodthirsty and he's just trying to kill all these people and doesn't care. Come on, I always talk about the masters of the universe, and Putin does not declare himself one, and maybe even a lot of these leaders, I go a little bit too far, when I say the masters of the universe. And if you want to get close, maybe the closest one that comes to that is actually George Soros, and he admits that he was establishing an empire, and he started losing too badly, and I guess that's when he kind of bowed out and stepped and gave it to his son to take over, Alexander Soros. But I don't know, he's kind of still running things in the show, but he's a really old guy. What is Soros, 90 or something? I have no idea. And then you see Bill Gates, he's he wants to run a lot of things. It's not like he's trying to be the master of the universe. He just wants to get super, super rich, get lots of control, and he wants to shape the world in the way he wants to shape it, which means, for the most part, just even a lot like Soros, they want to reduce the world's population drastically. And Bill Gates has said on many occasions that is his goal. And I can't talk too much about some of the other how he said that, because I get deleted from YouTube. And he's come right out and said that, at least on 2 occasions. But of course, that's been erased from the YouTube, and of course, that's misinformation. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. Yes. But then you have these other people like BlackRock. BlackRock, it's actually not just, it's not Larry Fink just because he's the CEO. You have, a lot of people, they have their boards, board members and all that. And I'm highly suspecting, this is just my opinion, and it is certainly based on fact, but it's a lot of opinion. But BlackRock, Israel, and Donald Trump are kind of a team together, and of course, real estate, and lots of money and lots of influence and power. It all kind of comes together, and it looks like they're working together. And George Soros is definitely not part of their club. As a matter of fact, he's seen as an opponent of that, and maybe a lot of other people as well. And you see, Europe is butthurt right now because, well, they're just crazy. They're infected with this mind virus, and there's no other term for it except Nazism. So, but I can talk a little more about it in a minute anyway. But you see, one thing I like to mention about Zelensky, I guess I'm still allowed to do this. I'm not going to get deleted from YouTube by talking about this, I guess, at least not yet. And of course, it was not. It was even some news before I think before 2014, when the U.S. media also was talking a little bit more truth and about the corruption in Ukraine and all the things that were going, and they were even mentioning the fact that they were bombing and killing innocent people in the Donbass area. And of course, that all changed at one point in time, and now they're the thriving democracy of love, and the Russians are the bad guys. But since that time, when was it? Zelensky, at one point, as you guys all remember, he was mentioned in Forbes, I guess, as I think having $2.7 billion of wealth. And then it went to $5 billion of wealth in a very, very short time. I think it was probably like about 1 year. And then after that, it's like, oh crap, we better not be talking about this stuff anymore. So I think when it was mentioned that by a lot of people, at least put out, that, and it was not without, it wasn't with real evidence that Zelensky was worth $10 billion. And obviously that was, they went around trying to quash that. And, the guy that runs around in a t-shirt, stinky old t-shirt, given to him by Sean Penn or something, somebody said. and the Green Goblin. But I don't know. And that was over a year ago, and since that time he's getting tens of billions of dollars still getting shoveled into his country, and it is not out of the question to consider this guy as 15 billion. Oh wow. Somebody cleaning something up there with an air hose. Matter of fact, I'll tell you what. I wonder if that is. Anyway. I won't say anything. But anyway, he's probably got 15 billion. He's much richer than Donald Trump, and there's no doubt about that. Even though Donald Trump has made quite a bit with his Truth Social media outlet and all, he had lost a lot of money after he ran for president. He actually is the first president in history, I believe, that left office with less money than he did when he came in, and he had lost well over $1 billion, which was actually amazing. Somebody watching me out the window there. It's kind of early. What are these people doing that early in the morning? Anyway, early workers. Maybe I ought to try to apply there. I like to go to work early, get things done. But I always like to say, and it's also, if you guys read David Copperfield, I've already mentioned, Zelensky's like Uriah Heep. You know, oh, we're so humble, and going on his begging tours and all that, and acting like everybody is his daddy. And I think, I'll tell you what, even Lukashenko said he looked at him sort of like a son or whatever, and obviously Biden did, and all of these, and Zelensky is eating it up. He's eating it up. Gee, Dad, can I have my allowance today? I mean, jeez, come on. My allowance of 5 billion? What about 100 billion? And all these women, you see these women, Kaya Kallas and Ursula von der Leyen, they're pledging hundreds of billions of dollars, you know. And you see Macron out there too, holding his hands, you know, and somebody made a meme about that, where they're dancing along and all that. Ah, gosh, you know. And they're all throwing their panties. Even Macron, he's throwing his panties up there for Zelensky. Oh, Zelensky. Yeah. And, yeah, but I don't know. I'll tell you what. And he's trying to get all that back, and I guess a lot of his shine has gone, but he's trying to get that shine back. You know, the U.S. has there's a new kid in town, and Zelensky doesn't like that, so he's trying to go, you know, his begging tour. I think there was even a video of him I just saw this morning, and he said he's not going to the United States. He has no reason to go to the United States. There's nothing on the agenda, blah, 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 and all that deal. Obviously, he's got the picture that he's not going to get any big sums of money, so he's not going to go there. You know, even Congress is supposed to allocate the money, but, you know, the Republicans, they have more control in the House of Representatives right now. I don't even know if they actually do lose their control by this vote coming up in Wisconsin. And Donald Trump has, there was somebody, I can't remember what state they were in, and he was going to put them in charge of something, and he's decided, no, I'm not going to do that anymore, because there's a real danger that they could lose their majority in the House of Representatives. And of course, he's leaving that person where they are, I guess as a congressperson, in order to ensure that they maintain control of the House of Representatives, based on who knows what might happen in Wisconsin. So yes, so Putin's part. What part does Putin play? And you all see this. It's very obvious. According, well, I mean, to the actions of the Western powers, you see that Vladimir Putin is scapegoat number one. Anytime something happens, Putin did it. It's Putin. It's Putin. You know, people have even made like these jokes. I think it was Alex Jones, and saying if your car keys are lost, Putin did it. Putin. You lost a sock out of the dryer. It was Putin. Putin came and took the sock out of the dryer. So I don't know. But Zelensky, I think he's overplaying this a little bit, and like I said, he's overplaying, and you can't even have a conversation with him without him coming up and blaming Putin for whatever the heck is going on. Putin's doing this, and Putin that, and Putin is violating, and I mean, it's like, and I think a lot of people are getting sick, but all these other people, all of his what do you call them, followers or his subjects? His subjects like Ursula von der Leyen, Baerbock, all these people, still throwing their panties up there, and Trudeau. It includes even these gay guys. This like Macron, is clearly gay. And he might be bisexual. It depends on whatever real gender Brigitte has. But you've seen photos of Macron kissing men and things like that, and he's fondling all over Zelensky and all that. Oh boy, it's just kind of sickening. Trudeau, he might be swinging that direction too. But anyway, Zelensky, he must be pretty well endowed. I've just said that before and I've said it again. I don't know, to have these people, going after Zelensky as they do, and there's some crazy stuff been said about Zelensky as well, but I don't know if that's just rumors or not. Yes, but that's kind of strange. These men, they're showing like they have vaginas, like Macron and all that, and then you have these women that come out, maybe including Macron, and they want to act like they have some big balls too. I meant the kind you play with in the playground. I don't want to be talking, erroneously here on YouTube. But like a big set of two balls, that they play with on the playground and all that sort of a deal. And Ursula von der Leyen, she acts like she's got a big set, and Baerbock and all of these people. And Baerbock comes out and says, "I don't care about the German voters." She cares a lot more about Ukraine. And Ursula von der Leyen, it's like weird. Like I said yesterday, it's really weird. Ukraine's not in NATO, Ukraine is not in the EU, but yet they get far more of the resources of NATO and the EU than all the other countries. But EU is kind of a pitch-in sort of a deal, but it's always working out to where they pitch in, and a lot of that pitch-in goes to Ukraine. Very strange, very strange. If I were Ukraine, it's almost like they don't want to be in, they shouldn't want to be in NATO. The only thing is Article 5. And Zelensky has not tried to hide the fact that he really, really just has a seething hatred of Russia. And he wants nuclear bombs, and they talk about the Budapest Memorandum, which, by the way, was just a memorandum. It was not an agreement. A memorandum is just like what? A memorandum of understanding, a memorandum of agreement. It's not a binding contract. As a matter of fact, a lot of people are putting out the fact that the nuclear weapons that Ukraine had, they weren't Ukraine's anyway. They were Russia's, and so they took them back. So this is all nothing but a big fallacy. It's not even worth talking about. But Ukraine will milk everything they possibly can to their advantage, if they, as you guys already know. And Putin, he's been talking now lately also about the fact he's wondering, who are you going to deal with? Because the government, even according to the Ukrainian constitution, is illegitimate. There was no vote. There is nothing in their constitution that allows anybody to be in charge without having a vote. And of course, the vote expired. And even if it expires, there is no contingency in their constitution that allows Zelensky to still be the leader of the country. And of course, Putin's fear, for the most part, is any sort of agreement that would be signed with Zelensky, the next leader that comes and say, well, that's null and void because he was not the legitimate leader of Ukraine. So we don't have to follow it. We don't have to obey it. And that might even happen sooner than you think. But of course, Zelensky says that Putin's going to be gone very soon, that he's going to die. He didn't say he's going to leave office. He said he's going to die. That's really strange. I wonder if that's a threat. I would say it's a threat, to be honest with you. And he said, I don't know, he's acting like it's going to be pretty soon, Zelensky. So, and I'll tell you what, if something happens, I wonder who's going to take over, and I wonder what they're going to think of Zelensky's threat. It's just a suspicion, and they all have a suspicion as well. Boy. So then Putin has also said, and this is actually kind of the big news, is that he was saying that it's very possible that we could, not we, me, that all the various countries could agree to having the United Nations possibly governing Ukraine for an interim period until the time where it becomes stabilized and they can get a legitimate and a stable government, stability. And obviously Ukraine's not going to go for that. And of course it's probably going to also be rejected by Macron and Starmer. And there's a big theory going around that these people, they have to keep the war going. Their positions depend on that the war keeps going. And people have been saying that they put a lot of big risk into this. They've been risking this, that they're betting everything on this war, on this Ukrainian war. I'm talking about Britain and France. And of course, a lot of people think that if Zelensky, if the war ends, well, actually, who put that out? Budanov put it out. He's the head of security in Ukraine, that even if there is a ceasefire, even if there is a peace, that there won't be a different government, that they're not going to have a vote. So I don't know for what that's worth. And Budanov, it's a very good chance that he is playing like the Anthony Blinken. You know, as if Anthony Blinken was calling the shots under Biden, it's very possible that Budanov, because he's kind of an uber Nazi, that he might have a lot of control in the government. He calls the shots. I mean, the macro shots. Whenever something is said, well, he'll say yes or no. As George Bush would call himself, the great decider. That people hash things out and all that, and then they just gets it presented in front of him and he says yes or no. So Budanov might be that great decider. It's not a far-fetched theory. So, okay. But I heard two things. It's kind of like they contradict each other. Putin said that he would even work with the EU even if they have no trust with the EU. And that doesn't seem to make any sense. So I don't understand that. And I think a lot of this agreements, and you hear about this grain deal agreement that they said they're just about hashed out right now. And I guess there are 3 different sets of that or whatever. And on the Russian side, they said that they must have the ability to search these ships that are docking in Ukraine, going through the Black Sea, to make sure that they're not bringing weapons. And Ukraine says that is not part of the agreement. And there's another agreement. I don't know if that is I guess the EU agreement or whatever. But in other words, I don't know if they're that close to having an agreement. And I guess they have these agreements already written out. And I from what I heard, it's signed, but you can't have an agreement when they're not in agreement. You know, I mean, it makes sense to me. Yeah. And as I said, Zelensky says what keeps him going is hate. Makes you wonder, you know, how you want to deal with a person like that whose driving force is it's not like food, and it's not love. It's not anything. It's hatred. What drives him is hatred. What keeps him alive, what keeps him going, what keeps him enthused, what makes him happy to get up in the morning is his hatred of Russia and hatred of Russians, the species as he calls them. Wow. And you see that it's actually infected people like Ursula von der Leyen, Kaja Kallas, Starmer possibly, maybe even Macron. Macron, you know, maybe his love of other men is what actually gets him up in the morning, or his wife, however, if it is his wife, or which one, you know, whatever the deal is with that. And but you know, hate to keep you going. You know, a love of hate. And these people are to the point. Ursula von der Leyen, Kaja Kallas, Baerbock, even all of these people, they are to the point. They will sacrifice their own people. They'll sacrifice their country. They'll sacrifice their economy, the future. They'll sacrifice everything for their hatred of Russia. Everything is based on hate. Hate, hate, hate. And this makes you wonder, you know, you wake up and, I hate today. I hate. Can you imagine? You know, people, I don't know. In some ways you can think, maybe is that possible that these people, hatred drives them. The love to hate. And maybe they, you know, and I don't know, they're obsessed with hatred, you know, consumed. You know, it's incredible. They don't and like I said yesterday, there was this priest, and it was an Orthodox priest in Romania, and has a lot of people watching, and stating that she's a demon, that Ursula von der Leyen is a demon, and it's maybe not that far from the truth. Because look at what she's doing to Romania. Look at what she's doing to so many other countries. It's like she tells them who the leader is going to be of the country. Well, who can run for the election? And the people that run for the election, first and foremost, they have to hate Russia. If they don't hate Russia, you're out of the picture, baby. You're not even going to get into the election unless you hate Russia. That is prerequisite number one, hate. You have to hate Russia. It's incredible. And try to deny that. Try to deny that that is not the truth. Any of you. Anybody you guys watching. Any of you. Because they all hate Russia. And they hate Hungary. They hate Orban. They hate Fico. And they're trying to get rid of them. And they're trying to sway the elections in Serbia. And it's all of this is because of these people. They don't have a seething hatred of Russia. It's incredible, absolutely incredible. The entire policy of the EU is, stems from Ursula von der Leyen and hatred, and of course Kaja Kallas. That's the only people that get anywhere is if you hate. You could go. If you can prove that you really hate Russia more than anybody else, you probably have yourself a future over there. Wow. It's yes, to what does it drive it to? The strategic defeat, the entire defeat, economic, everything. Wow. And I'll tell you what, a lot of these people in Europe, they don't even like Ukraine. As a matter of fact, they hate Ukraine. They just hate Russia far, far more. They hate the Belarusians. And I'll give a message to you Belarusians out there, and Lukashenko has even alluded to this fact. They hate you too. They hate you. As far as they are concerned, you are Russians, and you are just maybe temporarily seen in a favorable light because you can be used as a tool, And even if you come out and you say you hate Russia, they're still going to hate you, and they're going to use you as a tool. And I hope this never comes to pass, that we all have to find out that this is the very honest truth that I'm just telling you all. I hope not. Yes. Well, Baerbock at least was honest enough to, show her hatred and say that she doesn't even, I think she even hates the German people, because they don't hate Russia enough. Wow. Yes. But I'll tell you what, it's not just the Belarusians, it's not just the Ukrainians and the Russians that they hate. They hate all Slavic peoples. And it's not like I was saying the general people. The general people will do whatever they're told for the most part. I'm talking about the majority of the people over there. There's a lot of people, and you would think that, most Germans, there's a lot of them that can think for themselves. But a lot of people, they'd have the government think for them, and the government just has to put on a clean suit, have a nice haircut and a good smile half the time, and say, what I tell you is the truth, and then people will buy it. It's just incredible, The cuter you look, the most clean cut you look, the more believable you are, Yes, but they see, I think Fico even alluded to that they see that the Slavic peoples are inferior. And of course, they're the master race, but, the Europeans are the master race. Yes. Putin also put out that the United States has wanted Greenland since 1860, so that it's not really any kind of a big news or anything like that. 1860, that they've wanted it since then. I don't know. I don't know much about the history, so I just was putting that out. And the region of Moldova, another puppet government, where a lot of the people are in favor of Russia, believe it or not, the population. And then there's this area called Gagauzia, and what's her name? The leader there, her name is, she's in prison right now, Gutsel. And she even made a trip to see Vladimir Putin, and of course that's probably her downfall right there. And anyway, this part of Moldova, ethnically speaking, they're different than a lot of the people of Moldova. But you have all this stuff that was going on in the Soviet Union, where Stalin was was taking parts of one country and putting it to another. And this ethnic group, I guess they speak a language like it's like Turkish, of Gagazio. And anyway, they put this representative of that area. I guess it's kind of self-governing, Gagazia. And they put her in jail. She's been there for quite some time now. She's actually now appealed to Vladimir Putin and I guess to maybe Erdogan in Turkey at least to try to get her out. I don't know if they can do anything about that to get her out because, you know, all they can do is point out how democratic Moldova is. As you know, they did all this stuff to cheat on the vote. I mean, it's kind of a long story. There's a lot of different aspects of that, but they cheated on the vote to make sure that Maya Sandu becomes or stays the leader. And you know, it's worked out that way. There's a lot of problems involved in that, like Transnistria. I think they claim Transnistria is on the border between Moldova and Ukraine, and they definitely are also pro-Russian. And you know, we have to have the Hate Russia Club keep going here. But those people in Gagazia, they're also Orthodox Christians, and that's probably a big minus because a lot of these EU leaders and what they're trying to promote is like, it's not even atheism, it's sort of a satanic belief, in my opinion. They have a hatred of the Orthodox Church, a lot of them, most of them, and they're trying to get rid of it, as you see. And Ukraine just created their own, trying to suck all the people from the real well, it was called the Ukrainian Orthodox Church, so they started the Orthodox Ukrainian Church. You know, it's what has some different beliefs, and Ukrainian symbols are the holy symbols and things like that. And of course, they dispossessed the Orthodox Church, is one of the oldest, you know, like the monastery, the what is it, the Lavra, something in other churches all over the place. You know, they seized all those. Somebody coming with their dog. And gave them to the other church. So Gutsel's party is called the Shore Party, and it was banned and made illegal. Giving me some dirty look here. It was made illegal in 2023. You know, for what is it? They said it was a criminal organization. They didn't even say corruption. They just said a criminal organization. You know how they passed that off? I have no idea. Okay. And I was talking about this attack that the United States did, massive bombing on Yemen last night, and maybe even still ongoing. It was ongoing when I was looking at the news when I got up this morning. They were still bombing Yemen, and at that time there was over 100 strikes. And then soon after that, Jackson Hinkle, who is now in Yemen, he said that they bombed right near where he is staying. I don't know, I guess is in a hotel or wherever he's staying. You know, they bombed right near where he is at. If you guys remember Jackson Hinkle, he's American. He's normally from California. He moved to Florida, and he's a very well known in Russia. He's even done interviews with Lavrov and Maria Zakharova, and I think he might even be married. I haven't been following him lately, but I think he might be married to a former Miss Russia. And very smart guy. I talked about him in a video, I think it was even yesterday I mentioned his name. So yes, but anyhow, there has not been any news yet. They had very little footage of this bombing, of some of the bombings, and I guess it's bombed in all sorts of areas of Yemen. The United States, they're bombing all over the place in Yemen, military targets supposedly, but it's turned out that they're bombing residential areas and things like that. Maybe they thought they were military. It's not. There's no way that they can tell. You know, they don't have any eyes on the ground. They're just bombing places. How in the heck would they know if they're military? Maybe somebody with a uniform they saw from a satellite walked into some building. Maybe it's his home, you know. So they bomb the place and say it's military. Maybe he had a couple friends. I don't have any idea. But they don't really, you know, I don't know if they have, you know, so many different types of uniforms. A lot of people are just, you know, wearing their own types of clothes, I think, that are militants there. So, and these are moralistic people, and they're not attacking the United States. Maybe some of the shipping, of course, the USS Harry Truman, and whatever. Anyway, and talking about some other things going on. Macron talk about him a lot today. He's trying, they say it's coming from him, but it's also Starmer. They're trying to get troops, NATO troops, into Ukraine. And of course, that's the whole reason why this thing started up. Well, one of the main reasons, you know, there's probably like 3 reasons. I don't even want to get into it. That's not part of the thing I'm talking about today. But one of the main reasons was that NATO, you know, they're trying to take Ukraine into NATO. And of course, the Russians don't want NATO troops on their border. And of course, Russia is pretty much surrounded already by NATO, all kinds of NATO and military, the United States and everybody. So they didn't want any more. So he's trying to have a sneaky way of getting troops in there, calling them peacekeepers, you know. So you could get Al-Qaeda or ISIS, whoever the enemy of the day is, and just call them peacekeepers. And oh, okay, now it's all right. Now it's all right. Let them in, since they're just peacekeepers. It's like the white helmets, you know. White helmets are just propaganda people. And apparently Donald Trump is stopping the funding of, you know, the U.S. funding of the white helmets. And without that, they're probably going to have a slim chance of actually surviving. You know, and they were just a propaganda, you know. And of course, they've already gotten Syria. Anyway, so the white helmets is gone too. And Macron, I don't know. But they think that everybody is stupid, you know, by calling them peacekeepers. Oh, peacekeeper, oh, okay. It's just like the peacekeepers that shot and killed the Russians back in 2008 when, you know, they had Georgian peacekeepers and Russian, and they killed the Russian peacekeepers, 20 of them, and then they invaded, you know, Georgia invaded South Ossetia, was killing lots of people. I think 3,000 before the Russians started sending people in to protect those people. You know, most of those people that were killed, of course, most of the people there, they had Russian passports. They feel aligned to Russia. And of course, Joseph Stalin, again, you know, he is the one that attached South Ossetia to the Republic of Georgia. You know, he comes from Georgia. He also attached Abkhazia to Georgia, and they didn't want to be a part. I mean, it's like, this is really some crazy stuff. After wars and things, and people taking this area and that area, you know, got to be kind of careful about all of this stuff, how this stuff happens. Yeah. And along with this, France and the UK are increasing their training efforts of Ukrainian troops in their countries as well as in Ukraine. So they're sending more trainers there, and probably going to be in the far western parts, hopefully trying not to get bombed, and you know, training Ukrainians. So actually they're trying to get this thing going for a long, long time. And testament to that is that Ukraine is also now training small children in operating drones. It's part of the school program. And as far as, I think, as early as even junior high school, what's equivalent to our junior high school in America and in high school, what they're doing is they are teaching them various tactics and strategy, all sorts of military training in their schools. You know, maybe maneuvers, maybe the bounding overwatch, traveling overwatch, and things like that. You know, some of us learn that in basic training. But anyway, it's like infantry, things like that. I was in 8th Infantry Division or something. But anyway, and yes, really something. Okay. The drone class. I think the drone classes, I think the film footage they were showing, you know, kids training on that. I think they look like about 12 years old or something. And Ukraine, as far as Europe is concerned, they have the largest amount of drones by far in Europe. You know, they might even be in the world. The only place that has more drones is possibly China. But thousands of drones. And then Australia and the Baltic states, they send every year many thousands and thousands of drones. Ukraine has at least twice as many drones as Russia does, but you know, they're not telling you that. So Ukraine has a lot of drones. And again, they have another report of them using banned chemical weapons on the Russians. And Russians were reporting that, a lot of the soldiers and stuff, they were reporting on that yesterday. And of course, they're getting more and more desperate, and I don't know, and they're still not withdrawing from Kursk. Russia was hoping they would, thinking that they would. So these people, and they show a lot of dead Ukrainians, so they keep sending people to the meat grinder. They're still snapping people up off the streets. And now Zelensky said, I think they're even going after younger children. I think they okayed that. I don't even know how old these children are. In reality, when they're telling you about these laws, now that they're going to send people that are 23 or something, they've been sending people that are 18 years old a long time, 4 years. I don't know if those people had to volunteer for it or not, but there were some very young people already dying, in the Ukrainian military years ago. So I don't really know what this making it official at certain ages, what the value of that is anyway. If you want to go die, I think when you're 17 years old, they will let you go die. They're not going to block you from going in Ukraine. Yes. And Maria Zakharova, with her words, she's calling this, what they're doing now in Ukraine, just like in Israel, they like to kill journalists. The journalists are one of the main targets. And she said it's because journalists tell the truth. So that's why they're trying to kill the journalists and use, and it was kind of big news that they, it was very near that they were trying to kill Patrick Lancaster. And they killed already 2 other journalists, I think nearly on the same day. And so it's open season on journalists. Wow. And I don't know, is the U.S., when they were trying to kill Jackson Hinkle, is that part of that as well? It was just, that was just a few hours ago when I just came out. Maybe 3 hours. Wait, what time is it now? Maybe 4 hours by now when Jackson Hinkle put that up. So, also, the last thing I want to talk about is maybe, there is this speculation that the United States is having this big, heavy military buildup, a lot of equipment, sending a lot of B-2 bombers. I think it was seven B-2 bombers. We're talking about these stealth bombers to this island, Diego Garcia, which I talked about that yesterday. It used to be the British. Some people say it still is British. It doesn't seem like it at all. Maybe on paper, but the U.S., has the big military presence there. Maybe there's a few people from Great Britain there. I don't have any idea. But as like France and Britain taking over all these countries with their vast empires, in the past century for the most part. And but anyway, a lot of people were saying that it might be aimed at Iran, and some official, they didn't even say the name, said, "Oh no, it's not. It's not aimed at a future attack on Iran." I don't know if there is any truth to that. Maybe this is all for Yemen, but Yemen is a very, they don't have so much, and it seems like this Harry Truman and the battle group is enough, I would think, because they're just bombing the place to smithereens anyway. And I don't know. Maybe the Yemenis will not give up because they're a very moralistic and spiritual people, so it's very possible that they're not going to give up. So, and it's maybe not like what's going on in Hamas, where Israel, anytime they have a new leader of Hamas, Israel kills them. They're just, Israel has there's some way, and I didn't read about it, but they have a method somehow on how to identify and find any of these people from Hamas, and they're killing them. And then it makes you wonder, well, then why are they killing all these other innocent people by the tens of thousands? So I have no idea. Great guys. Jeez. Yeah, and Putin, as he's said that he believes that Trump, really does want to end this. I think he does too, in Ukraine anyway, not in the Middle East. He's more interested in doing his deal there with Gaza. It makes you wonder, Donald Trump Jr. is supposed to be leading the real estate part of the redevelopment of Gaza, apparently. And I wonder if BlackRock is involved in that. That's kind of a suspicion of mine. And, Donald Trump is talking about making a big tourist area out of Crimea, but it's like, but do you think Russia is going to just let you go in there and do that? You don't. I don't know. You know, Putin seems to be pliable to working with the United States, especially, at least at this point in time. And you know, normally when you do trade and make these agreements with certain countries, just like the space program or anything, you're less likely to attack them because you're tied together economically and in certain ways. But you saw how it was with Joe Biden, so I don't know. And even Trump, to a certain way, he seeks to dominate everything. But you know, I don't know. You know, you got to do a lot of thinking when you're thinking about, well, what has Trump got in his head? So anyway, that's about all I have to say today, people. And yeah, but how long is this? It's less than 50 minutes. So, but when you upload at this time in the morning, I'm thinking it's the time. It always takes a long time, and it's sometimes with me. It even takes a long time sometimes if I'm uploading like in the afternoon. And so I don't really know what the secret is to things doing this stuff on YouTube. Like I said, I've had videos that were like 50 minutes and they uploaded in like less than half an hour or about half an hour. And then you have 25-minute videos and it takes them 5 hours to upload it. You know, and you think it's done by computers. I have no idea. Maybe there's some people, maybe there's some grandma that they put on the night shift or something in the States, you know, and she's, you know, making cookies or something like that while people are sending in videos. I have not the faintest idea. So anyway, oh, by the way, I did take a shower and wash my hair, and I tied it in the back so I don't look like Granny Clampett today. Somebody said I look like Granny Clampett with a bad hair day or something like that before on one of my videos. So, but it's a nice day here. I'm gonna try to get a photo over here to put on the cover if I possibly can, but I have to wait till, who knows, noon before I can do that because it's gonna take forever to upload this video. I have to try to keep watching. Put up the photo. You have to do it afterwards, so I think. Anyway, thanks for joining me, everybody, and I'll see you on the next one, as I always say. Bye-bye.